Welcome into a new edition of BVM Sports Chalk Talk. I'm Mike Cianciolo, joined alongside Matt Morris and Scott Proctor. Week 5 in the NFL is here, and there is only one undefeated team remaining. We will touch on Arizona as they get ready to host NFC West foe San Francisco, but we are going to tee this one up with our game of the week, an AFC Championship game rematch at Arrowhead Stadium. The 2-2 Chiefs taking on the 3-1 Bills. And Scott, I'm going to let you start here, but remember the Bills Mafia is listening.
I'm sure they are.
Who you got in that game on Sunday?
I am really excited for this matchup on Sunday night, mainly because if the Buffalo Bills go into Arrowhead Stadium and beat the Kansas City Chiefs, a lot of people, and maybe rightfully so, will be saying that the Bills are the best team in the AFC, but that ain't happening. That's not happening. But before I get to that, another reason I'm excited for this game is Josh Gordon was activated this week. He's on track to make his debut on Sunday, which is a big deal. One, because I still believe Josh Gordon is immensely talented. He's been great at every stop of his multiple stops, and he averaged 16 yards a catch as recent as 2019. But also, Gordon brings something to the Chiefs offense that they just haven't had during the Patrick Mahomes era, which is a legitimate X-receiver, outside receiver who defenses have to respect. You look at the rest of that receiving room outside of, the Cheetah, of course, McCole Hardman, Byron Pingle, Demarcus Robinson. They're all kind of smaller slot guys. So Josh Gordon is going to take some of the onus off the league's fastest player in Tyreek Hill, some of the onus off the league's best tight end in Travis Kelce, who's kind of been off to a slow start. But that's going to change with the arrival of Josh Gordon. And let's just be honest here. Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback still in football. The Chiefs have only 6 punts this season. They have only 1 3-and-out. So, again, I'm just really excited for Josh Gordon to return. And I'm expecting I know you're going to talk about this, but that Chiefs defense is a mess right now. But Josh Allen has turned the ball over in 3 of the 4 games he's played this year. He has not looked like a $250 million man outside of a blowout win over Washington so far this season. So I expect Kansas City to roll this weekend and regain the title as the league and the AFC's best team in the league.
And what's the expression? Defense wins championships, offense sells tickets, but you got to outscore the other team to win.
These are facts. These are facts.
It's true. I mean, it's very impressive, and Kansas City has obviously earned a lot of respect, and they've been one of the best teams, if not the best team in the AFC. But you would think that there'd still be a little bit of concern after they had to score 42 to beat a struggling Philadelphia Eagles team and allow Jalen Hurts to have his best outing of the season.
Yep.
The Eagles were able to score 30. The Bills have been averaging over 30 points a game, even with those question marks that you might mention with Josh Allen. They've established a great run game. They're top 5 in the run. Their defense is the top defense in the league right now.
Lights out right now.
Points allowed, turnovers, and yards allowed as well. Not to mention that Pat Mahomes has been sloppy with the football. He has 4 turnovers. He has 14 touchdowns, and I give him credit. Pat Mahomes, league high, but he also has four turnovers in key moments in the game, and they've come to hurt this Chiefs offense. And so basically, this comes down to you have arguably the best offense in the league in the Kansas City Chiefs going up against another one of the best offenses in the league in the Buffalo Bills. And so each team, is going to score touchdowns. But when it comes down to it, who's going to get the stop?
Correct. Yeah.
And right now, Buffalo Bills. The Bills will get the stop. I don't trust that Kansas City defense to do anything. So that's why the Bills are going to win. That's why I think that the Kansas City Chiefs are going to have their 3rd big-time AFC, possible playoff preview loss at Arrowhead. And it's going to be interesting to see how the Chiefs continue to, create that momentum and that intimidation that they've had over the last few years.
So here's the thing. The Bills all of a sudden have a rushing game, have a running game after 4 weeks. We obviously have to keep in mind who they played. And the same goes for how well they played defensively. Their 3 wins on this season have come against Jacoby Brissett, Davis Mills, and Taylor Heineke. The one team and quarterback they lost to, they lost to, they haven't won since. And the Pittsburgh Steelers have been Roethlisberger. So that all has to be taken into account. The Kansas City Chiefs are obviously the best team that the Bills will have faced this season. Meanwhile, the Chiefs have played rather for the top 10 or so teams in the league, and the Chargers, the Ravens, the Browns week 1, who they beat, which is obviously a great win. So that's really what I'm looking at. Again, really this matchup ultimately always comes down to the most important position on the field, and that's quarterback. I do believe that there's a massive gap between Patrick Mahomes, the league's best player / quarterback, and Josh Allen, who I believe as this season progresses, we'll see him kind of come down to earth and kind of return to his 2019 form. Because again, as you know, I believe his spectacular 2020 season, which is what it was, spectacular. I think that's going to end up being an outlier, an aberration for the arc of Josh Allen's career. But as far as this weekend, you mentioned I expect the Kansas City Chiefs to score a minimum of 35 points. I don't envision Buffalo being able to muster up that much. Even as bad as, again, I mentioned that the Chiefs defense has been, but that's how I'm looking at it. And again, this is a game for the Chiefs that they can get up for. You know what I'm saying? The Bills haven't been in big spots. Obviously, Josh Allen has never beat Patrick Mahomes in his career. So it's going to be a lot on the Bills. Again, not to mention going on the road, a place that has been, kind of easy to win in relatively this season for a couple teams, but that's not going to always be the case. I don't envision the Chiefs losing 3 straight home games in a 5-week span. Just don't see it.
I mean, you keep saying, and we talked about this in the production meeting, you keep saying that you don't see the Bills scoring over 30 against the Chiefs. I have yet to hear an actual valid reason as to why that is going to happen. And as much as we talk about Josh Allen is going to come down from this spectacular season, Josh Allen is better than Jalen Hurts. And the weapons that the Buffalo Bills have are better than the Philadelphia Eagles. And so I just don't see how this defense is actually going to be able to stop a much more dynamic and well-run offense in the Bills that will allow, if it comes down to it and Pat Mahomes has the ball with like a minute left and he can actually control it, then maybe you have a conversation, and that's how the Chiefs can win this. But they're not winning because the Chiefs defense actually stopped the Bills from scoring more than the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, but in terms of looking at the Bills offense against this Chiefs defense, I don't believe that what the Bills have shown as far as a running game through 4 weeks is going to be sustainable. I think we're going to look in about 4 or 5 weeks from now and be like, they still don't have a run game. Their best running option is still Josh Allen. And if that's the case, then the onus to score the football and score touchdowns falls on Josh Allen. And that's a tough task, even with knowing Tyrann Mathieu is back there. Chris Jones is still chasing after him on the defensive line. There are still players on this Kansas City Chiefs defense. It hasn't come together. But again, we have to look at the schedule. They've played good teams. They've played Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert, the Browns' top-ranked rush offense. So you're going to get dinged a little bit, especially to start the season. So this is just a week that I think the Chiefs put it all together and remind people like yourself who they are.
No, I know who the Chiefs are, but if you look at and you talk about these great teams that they've beat or they've lost to, great teams beat those teams. And it's also the way that they lose. It's not like they're going out and they're just getting outbeaten. It's, Cleveland has a costly turnover in the fourth quarter when they have a chance to go down and win the game. Against the Chargers, they just were outplayed. And then against the Ravens, even though Lamar Jackson threw 2 big time, including a pick 6 in the first half, the first 2 plays of the offense for the Ravens were interceptions. Pat Mahomes throws a costly interception in the fourth quarter.
And that's what I don't envision.
It's sloppy. It's not what the Chiefs have done. And even after losing those games to back-to-back to the Ravens and the Chargers and saying that they're going to come out and be more disciplined and better with the ball, they still give up 30 to the Eagles and have to score 42. That's not sustainable.
What I don't think is sustainable is Patrick Mahomes turning the ball over in key moments. That's not going to continue to happen. And if we're being honest, that's the reason why they lost to the Chargers and to the Ravens. Late turnovers by Patrick Mahomes. That's just not going to continue. If you believe Patrick Mahomes is going to turn into all of a sudden a turnover machine, then I'm not with you on that.
No, I don't think he's turning into a turnover machine, but I think there's a bit of, hubris.
And did you see him on Sunday, by the way? I believe he had 0 interceptions and 5 touchdowns against that
Philadelphia. Let's see him do it against the legitimate defense.
I can't wait.
Yeah,
I can't wait to see that.
I don't know how much stock needs to be taken in the L's to the Chargers and the Ravens. Obviously, Lamar Jackson doesn't execute that 4th down play to keep Mahomes from getting back onto the field and leading a game-winning drive. who knows? They could be 3-1.
It's a perfect example. Everybody and their mother knew what the Ravens were going to do. Harbaugh was yelling to Lamar Jackson, do you want to go for it? Let's go for it. There's no question who's getting the ball. That's the difference is you know who's getting the ball, you know what they're going to do, and you can't stop it.
The Ravens and Lamar Jackson are converting that situation against probably every single team in the league, if we're being honest. And that's a good point that you bring up because, again, both of the Chiefs' losses were kind of playing this shoulda, coulda, woulda game, but the Ravens and the Chargers, both in the fourth quarter, late in that game, had to convert a fourth down where normally they probably wouldn't even go for it. They would either kick the ball away or try to attempt a field goal, but knowing that Patrick Mahomes is on the other sideline, that they're liable to score like that, you have to make those extra decisions, those fourth down decisions that aren't super popular, but that's what it takes to beat Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs right now.
But that's my point is I think the Bills are going to do a great job of keeping Pat Mahomes on the sideline. And the Chiefs defense can't get out in 3.
That's the key. And if I'm not mistaken, Sunday, the Chiefs didn't punt, but neither did the Eagles. So it's kind of a mess. I expect a lot of points, but I also expect the Chiefs to come out on top on Sunday night.
Yeah, Scott, I'm with you. Any team that has Patrick Mahomes at quarterback, I like their chances to get a win. And fun fact before we move on to the other matchup we're going to preview, the Chiefs' 2 losses have somehow come in games where Travis Kelce has over 100 yards receiving. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it, and who knows, adding Josh Gordon into the mix.
You're 2-2 in choosing Pat Mahomes, so we'll see. I'm 3-1 in choosing Josh Allen.
Well, to the NFC West, guys, you predicted ahead of the season that the San Francisco 49ers were going to win the division. They are now 2-2. The Arizona Cardinals are undefeated at 4-0. They will meet up in Glendale, Arizona this weekend. Are you guys still sold on the Niners, and who do you have winning this game?
I'll start with the Cards here first. Both of us picked the Rams to defend home field last week against the Cardinals. Obviously, Arizona went into LA and completely shellacked the Rams. But during that show last week, I did say that if Kyler Murray was able to play a clean game with no turnovers, that the Cards were super alive to win. And obviously, that's what happened. And
Kingsbury wasn't a hindrance.
Correct. And I just want to really take this opportunity to shout out Kyler Murray. Tweeted a couple weeks ago that he gets my vote early on for MVP, and obviously that huge win over the Rams is only gonna ascend that plan. But he's in year 3 now, completely confident, in control in this system under Cliff Kingsbury. This man is loaded with weapons, from Hopkins to Rondale Moore to Christian Kirk. AJ Green has re-emerged, and they have a legit 1-2 punch in the backfield with Chase Edmonds and James Conner coming over from Pittsburgh. Has really kind of also reinvented his career. And Kyler Murray is a damn running back his damn self. So they're gonna have a ground game. And at this point, this Cardinals offense is good for 400 yards of total offense and 30 points every single game. And as far as this weekend for this matchup, I don't envision the 49ers being able to muster up 30 plus points with an injured Jimmy G, maybe Trey Lance, maybe making his first career start. I believe in him, but again, those first starts are rough, especially when you're got to go against J.J. Watt, Chandler Jones, Budda Baker, and that secondary. So as far as this weekend, I like the Cards to stay perfect at home as well. But as far as the 49ers, again, I'm not too worried about that.
No.
Your losses are to Aaron Rodgers with 37 seconds left on the clock, and Russell Wilson. So there's no shame in that. I think they'll be better down the stretch than they are right now.
Yeah, like we talked about last week, the biggest knock that you could say as far as the 49ers game against Rodgers was that, their pass to their fullback, he broke too many tackles in his way to scoring a touchdown.
Scored too fast.
And they scored too fast. They left too much time, which, again, it's surprising. The 49ers defense has not been as good as I expected them to be, with a lot of the key players coming back, Bosa and guys like that. So if the 49ers defense can't figure it out, then I'm going to start worrying a little bit, but I'm not worried yet. And as far as the Cardinals, we talked about it last week. There was a way for them to beat the Rams at home, and they did everything right. They played a perfect game as far as I'm concerned, and as far as Scott was saying, I agree with everything he said. And at home, I just don't think that the 49ers have enough defense to keep that offense in the game. And at this point, the only way you beat the Cardinals is probably the same way that you would beat, Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs is just keep that offense off the field. And they don't. The 49ers don't have the defense or the run game capable of doing that. So give me the Cardinals, but I'm not giving up on the 49ers yet.
Are the Cardinals the best team in football right now? They're the last undefeated team. Are they the best?
I think that, yeah. I mean, I think it's hard to make an argument against the Cardinals right now with just how amazing that offense is, and the defense isn't bad. Like they're not like what we talked about with the Chiefs. The defense is good enough to get off the field and give the ball back to Kyler Murray.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think
and Chandler Jones is probably the best pass rusher in the league right now. So
and that's the biggest thing about the Cardinals to me right now. Obviously, I'm taking Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs over the field. But as far as the NFC goes, you as of right now, you have to say the Cards are the best team in that conference. When you look at what they're able to do offensively, I just said that Kyler Murray is my MVP right now.
Yeah.
He has a run game. He has plenty of weapons. He has a system he's completely in control of. And you have 30-plus points a game kind of locked down offensively. And on defense, you can get after the quarterback.
Yep.
You can get after another team's quarterback, and that's a 1-2 punch that is hard to beat consistently. So the Cards 4-0, probably gonna be 5-0 after this weekend. Got to be looking as good as anybody in the entire league.
Just got to see if they can continue it. That was always the big question mark with them. Is they had this hot streak going last season, and they just kind of petered out. We'll see if they can continue it, and they've made that taken that next step to be real contenders.
I'm determined that they will remain undefeated, and I'll go as far to guarantee a Week 5 win against the 49ers.
First guarantee on Chalk Talk here? Jeez.
I think the Cardinals are going to win it. Kyler Murray spreads the love to his receivers week in, week out. There's 4 guys, DeAndre Hopkins, Christian Kirk, Rondale Moore, A.J. Green, all have 15 receptions, 200 yards receiving, and at least 1 touchdown in that offense. Then you also look at other guys that are receiving threats other than James Conner that have made receptions. Chase Edmonds, 20 receptions, at least 100 yards. Max Williams, tight end, 15 receptions, at least 100 yards. So that offense is so good. Their aerial attack, if they can kind of continue to get things going, maybe James Conner gets a rushing game going. Chase Edmonds maybe gets involved a little more in the run game. I don't see how you stop that. I mean, opposing secondaries have to just have nightmares anytime they go up against the Cardinals because there's just no way to prevent them from moving down the field.
And I was just going to say, too, like I said, we obviously picked the Rams to win last week. And obviously I kind of painted out a path of victory for the Cardinals. But none of us expected them to go into L.A. and bust them down like they did. That was a complete beatdown from start to finish. And I don't know if anybody expected the Rams at all this season at home to get beat by anybody like that. Let alone a division rival, let alone the Arizona Cardinals.
I mean, to your point with the weapons, I mean, Jalen Ramsey still had a pretty solid game. Like, DeAndre Hopkins was not, they didn't lose because DeAndre Hopkins went off. It was everybody else. Jalen Ramsey's only one guy. He can't cover everyone. And everyone else was having issues covering those Arizona weapons. So it is going to be a nightmare for defenses moving forward.
I think they've got probably one of the best team brand of offense in the NFL because you never know who's going to go off. And it doesn't just have to be their superstar wideout and DeAndre Hopkins.
Exactly.
Sucks for fantasy owners, but
a little bit. Just
good for RJ and the Cardinals.
Right? Yeah.
Right. So that will conclude our Week 5 previews. We will see you on the other end heading into Week 6, and we'll determine whether we got those predictions right or what will happen as we catch up with you guys on Chalk Talk next week. For Scott Procter and Matt Morris, I'm Mike Cianciolo. Thanks for watching.